Welcome back to 90 Seconds Plus with Invercargill City Mayor Nobby. Now, when Sir Tim retired, we were a bunch of us, or a few of us in town, I guess, were concerned that whoever stepped into his shoes would struggle to get Invercargill on the map, or keep us on the map. But hey, no problem with you, Mayor Nobby. I see we've got another code of conduct coming through.
Well, there's no secret from it. I've got one from Councillor Pottenger and Councillor Bond combined over the TV show, which is disappointing because I thought they would have come and talked to me about it, but they've gone off down the track on the code of conduct, and the Lord only knows how much that will cost us.
Yes.
But the second one was a meeting I went to where I made some comments that upset some people, which I've subsequently apologised for, but they've come in and lodged a complaint as well. So that's more complex. So that'll play out. But the real issue is the gaslighting. So I guess for people that don't know what gaslighting means, it's a little bit like cancel culture, and if you don't know what that means, it both are basically the same. It means that if you don't agree with somebody's view on something, instead of having a debate with them about it, you just trash them.
Totally attack.
And you attack the person. If you keep attacking and saying the same things, just believe it. So if I had a beer for every time I've been called a racist in the last 18 months, I'd be drunk for years. And so I challenged one of the mainstream media, who are the worst offenders at gaslighting, I might add. The trolls online you can deal with. And so I said to them, give me one example when I've been racist, and they couldn't. I said to them, well, look, just because I'm opposed to some of the treaty applications that are going on at the moment, and our community being divided into Maori and everybody else, or I don't like the terminology Pākehā, and I don't like what Te Pāti Maori are doing around separate governments and all that sort of stuff.
It's getting very divisive,
yeah,
actually.
it is. And so because I pushed back on that, I'm racist. Because I don't love Maori. Well, that's not true. I've got Maori through my family. The bottom line is I just don't like where our country's going. And I think that's the tide that moved back in the last election. People say, oh, it was cost of living and it was lack of new houses being built. It wasn't that at all. The feel I get from our community is people had an absolute gutsful of the
us and them, that mentality, and
that cultural divide.
Yep.
And to the credit of the coalition government, they're now pushing back on that sort of stuff. But the trouble is that if you say it enough when you're gaslighting, people start to believe. I mean, I've got pretty thick skin, and I can walk past most things, but after a while, I just get a little bit fed up with the media, which is a shame because that's one of the main ways of me communicating with the community.
It is. So it also affects your family, because we had a good chat with Karen some months ago, and there's the grandkids and so on and different things, and they get told things at school because of the ongoing.
Got very few friends or any tolerance now for the mainstream media, because they just take one word and put it into a headline to sensationalise it and don't put it in context, which I can live without. So I'm doing all my comms with the exception of your website. Through the comms team here now, so I can manage it in such a way that they can't extract one or two words and take it out of context, because it's even though I can wear a thick skin, it's not good for council, and it's certainly not good for my colleagues as well that have to wear a whole lot of questions about it as well.
It's far better for the community and council in general to have you accessible. Like Sir Tim was always accessible, and you have been up until recently, but you've got to put a line in the sand and go, well, if these guys can't, one, be sensible and actually be professional for a change, then, cut them off and make them go through your comms team. Or comms manager. Now, another topic would be the Derelict or burnt-out building, the old Briscoe's building on the corner of D and Spey Streets. Obviously, the landlord's has done. I see she's done her bit, obviously by law, but it's such a blight on our beautiful city now. We've got the Langlands, we've got Invercargill Central, we've got HWR Tower, and then we've got this burnt-out disaster on the main street, and yet nothing can really be done other than just wait and see. Or can council not buy it and just push it down?
Well, one of the dilemmas we have is that staff say that there's a gap between what's in the Building Act and what's in the RMA, and of course the RMA is under review. I still find that a bit of a struggle. In one breath they say the building is no longer a risk. Then if it's no longer a risk, what have we got with containers sitting on the footpath that you've got to walk through? Well, that's only because something might fall off the building. So when we had the same thing with the Club Hotel in Bluff, we forced them to knock it down.
That's right.
And I just think, well, I'm going to write to the Minister shortly. It doesn't matter what advice we get from staff because they're giving us legal advice, but I need to write and say that this is a nonsense because it's a heritage building. You can't do much with it. And I think the landlord is not in a position to be able to fit it out and bring it back because she had no tenants in them anyway, or very few. So it's not derelict as such, but it's not a good look. I mean, we spent $100 million plus doing up City Mall and the inner city streets and stuff like that. And then we got that bloody ugly eyesore there. So we have to do something about it. We just can't sit here and wait till somebody torches it again or an earthquake topples it over. There's got to be a better way forward. So I will write to the Minister, and in fact he's down here shortly, and ask him to consider what we can do. Because I think the Minister does have some powers. And the powers might be to waiver the heritage status, which would then allow us to potentially demolish it.
And I mean, look, I love the old buildings as much as most people, but at some point you've got to go, okay, we can't save this one, so we need to do the next best thing, and let's get rid of it or knock it over, because it is a blight on our street, and it's a safety thing as well, long term. And finally this week, the Tuatara, or Tuatarium, or Tuatara Island, I think it's called, opened on last Saturday, which it was very popular, the whole baby Tuatara find story. It was huge on our website, got thousands and thousands of views. And I see on Saturday it was a big crowd turning up for the opening.
So we had iwi down from the top end of the South Island. They were brilliant. Did some really good presentation about Tuatara, so we learned a lot. But there were literally thousands here on Saturday. There was just kids everywhere, and the queues to get in looking at were bloody mile long. So I didn't actually get in the second day, but that was fantastic. One of the problems we've got, I think, and I did signal this some time ago, is what happens on a cold day when all the Tuatara go into their burrows. You can go in there, there's nothing to see. And I had a relative down recently who went in a couple of days ago and there was nothing to see. So maybe one of the things we'll have to think about is putting up some sort of screen inside the window that shows Henry and some of the more well-known Tuatara. So at least if they don't see something, they've got some video, something that can be placed. So we'll have to raise that, I think, with staff to say, hey, there's a lost opportunity there.
All right, that's another 90 Seconds Plus with Invercargill City Mayor Nobby Clark. And don't forget, this weekend it's the Invercargill Poultry and Pigeon Show. So get along to the Kennels out at Kennington and on Saturday and Sunday. Until next week, see you later.